Hi everybody, welcome back to Laptop Seniors. Today we're going to take a tour of Woodstock, New York. You know, of course, the famous Woodstock Festival. It was named after this town because it was very close to this town, but not in this town. And this is a very famous little town because there was so many great artists, musical artists, Bob Dylan, the band, a whole bunch of others that lived here, visited here, vacationed here, hung out here, played, recorded music here, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you a first-hand look at it. I'm going to take you through with the tour. You're going to see lots of video because I spent a huge amount of my life growing up around here. And almost all of my high school years, every single weekend, we were here partying because it was a different kind of town than it is right now. So I'm going to walk through the town and just sort of bridge between the way it was in the 60s, awesome time. It's a very small town, and I just want to show it to you this way so you get an idea what you're going to be looking at later. So anyway, that's where we're going. This is Woodstock. Let me back out again. And again, this is basically, this whole area is the Woodstock area where people live. Here, you can get an idea of this. Levon Helms studio. Levon Helms being a very, very famous member of the band. Okay, and that's where he had his studios. Bearsville Studios was over here. Todd Rundgren owned that. So very, very cool place. All right, and this is how you go to Woodstock. But not the festival. Okay.
If you went up straight, a couple miles, go left and go over the beautiful reservoir. There's nice trails there too. On Hill, Memorial Boulevard.
And here's the golf course. going down this road? I have no idea what's down
Maybe. I say that because if I did come on it, I came from the other end. And Tannery Brook, yeah, maybe. I think if you stay on this and then go left up at the, yes, Richard Quinn Drive. That's where the Legion is up there, top of the hill. You go left here. Okay, it's going to bring you right back to the golf course.
there. Oh, okay, good. It's kind of perfect.
So now I know where that road comes out on the other end, because I only came up here.
Wait. Is there a car behind?
There is a car behind us, yeah.
You get up here, there's always a car behind you.
I was just going to say, man, there's a lot of traffic here for
Well, actually, I didn't think it was too bad today. This is the times that I've been up here.
I mean, it's like a, what is it? It's like a
Well,
Monday.
the road's narrow, and
What is today? Monday or Tuesday? No, Monday. It's like a Monday. It's
yeah.
like,
Well, if people are making deliveries, you got to
1
double park, so that
yeah.
creates a roadblock. So when you come out here, just go left. You'll be back where we started from. This guy's got beautiful property right here.
Totally. Everybody's got some pretty big property here on both sides. All right. Okay, we're in Woodstock, New York, home of the famous festival, at least what it was named after, but it actually wasn't here. It was about maybe 25 miles from here. But this is the town of Woodstock that we're going to take a walk through. You're going to see it. I'm going to kind of relate it back to the 60s and 70s when I used to live here. This was, pretty much Haight-Ashbury for the east, and there was a ton of bars up and down the strip that I'm about to show you. And I mean, it was a fun time because I was in high school then, and like every high school kid, drinking age 18, every high school kid would come here and we would party. It was just nuts, and very famous people obviously lived here, like Bob Dylan and Noel Redding and Todd Rundgren, Bearsville Studios, just up the road a couple miles. So anyway, we're going to do that. Let me flip this camera around. There we go, and then we'll take you through the town. So this is the main drag. It's really the main town is pretty small, actually. It's it's probably not even a mile and a half from one end to the other. But for the most part, this was a arts community, and a lot of musicians here in the 60s and 70s. Again, like I mentioned, a lot of famous ones and a lot of art studios. Right over in here, right where it says Notebook, see right there? There was a place there called Happy Glop. That's going back a ways. Happy Glop that used to do leather. I mean, that guy was a tradesman and a craftsman. He would make anything that you could think of out of leather. He'd make it for you. I mean, it really didn't matter what it was. He was amazing, and it was a lot of stuff like that. So, and this was actually an art studio where you'd go in and there's paintings hanging on the wall and you could buy them, that kind of thing. We're up at the north end of town, really. Like, not too far from here, you start driving out of town, at least of the main drag, the township itself. But there's a lot of houses on the right and on the left from this main street where you go up into the mountains and big estates. It's pretty expensive here to live here now. It didn't used to be in the 60s and 70s. It was definitely a cheaper area than most places. In that era, but now totally different deal. Very famous creek, or creek, I guess. Here they say creek. A lot more restaurants here now than back then. You know, because now it's more of a tourist attraction because of the festival and everything. Back then there wasn't all that many restaurants back in the 60s and 70s. It was mostly bars. That was pretty much what it was. Right across the street here, this place was a really famous bar, and it would not be out of the realm where you're in here and you're drinking and you kind of look over and a guy decides, hey, you know what, I'd like to go up and play a few songs, and it's Bob Dylan. Or it's, you know, one of Jimi Hendrix's band, or, you know, one of Todd Rundgren's band, or one of the members of the band, you know, the band, the famous called band, and because they lived here. So, you know, and you'd walk in, you'd have to step down a couple steps into that bar, and, you know, stage in the back. It was pretty awesome. So, anyway, moving on. It's funny. I don't know, this is just like a personal story, but I'll throw it out to you anyway. About 2 or 3 days before the festival, the actual Woodstock Festival, you see that telephone pole right there? I was kind of walking by here, and there was a guy going down the telephone poles. As you see the poles coming down the road, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and they would go down the road, down that way. I look at this pole, and there's a guy across the street, and he's putting up posters just like what's stuck on that there, you know, right now. Except it was a Woodstock poster for the festival, which was like 3, 4, 5 days away. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, I got a feeling this poster might be worth something. So he stapled it up, put 4 staples in it on the side. I waited till he kind of went down the street and he was kind of out of sight that he wouldn't come back and yell at me, because I think I was about 18 or 19 at the time. And I took the poster off, and I've saved it ever since, had it framed and everything. And I think now it's worth like $500, $600, $700, something like that.
For someone.
Yeah, but that was the famous telephone pole. I've told 1 million people that story, and now thousands more. Nice. So we're heading out of town. Kind of around the corner there is where it ends, but we'll take a walk up just so you get a feel for what things look like, because it's a really neat community. Wow, speak of the devil, you see that red t-shirt over there? I'll see when we come back, I'll be on that side of the street. I'll take a better shot of that. But that is the poster that I took down. That's exactly what it looks like. Somebody's copied the poster and put it on the t-shirt. That red t-shirt. That's funny. They do a lot of clothes here. A lot of the stuff is, you know, like 60s type clothing, you know, tie-dyed and things like that. But that's basically what this town is. It's a, you know, it's a throwback, and it's a very neat throwback. It's pretty cool to be able to come here and, you know, if you're younger and you're not old, you know, you can drop back and you get a little bit of a feel. It's not exactly the same, but you get a little bit of a feel of what it was like to be here during its heydays as a music mecca. Really, I mean, there was just a ton of really famous band people who either they lived here permanently, or they had houses here, or they would visit other people like Dylan and other things, and, you know, and hang out and come into town. I mean, it was an amazing area, actually, in the 60s and 70s, especially the 60s. It was kind of crazy here in a really great way. Okay, so that's this is pretty much the town from the walking point of view, you know, and you saw a lot of it when I was driving out this road. So I'm going to turn around and cross over the street and go back and give you a feel on the other side. I always found the architecture here to be pretty cool. It's got that upstate New York, New England-y feel to it. And a lot of the houses can be gigantic, certainly in today's terms, because a lot of them they built really large back in the day. Back then they were just an average home. You look at it now and it's, I don't know, they might be like 3,000 square feet and nobody thought of anything of it. It was like, okay, yeah, that's my home. Now you go like, wow, that's gigantic. Holy moly. It's a nice, healthy town. It's a very neat walking town, bicycling. If you're into living life, this is a great place to be. There's the t-shirt. That is exactly the poster. Wild. Thanks. Hey, I didn't notice that. They sell vinyl records over there. Nice. So here's that famous bar again. Now obviously it's an espresso place, coffee shop, and clothing, tie-dyed stuff. See what I mean? I gotta tell you, man, there was a lot of people would have been throwing up out here back in the time. Hey, there's a hotel here. Look at that. I don't think that was here in the 60s. Tinker Village. Huh.
Look around here. The sidewalks and everything here. This is a liability waiting.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna fall and get tripped. Pick it. We need some rain. That's why this isn't flowing.
Yeah, it's pretty low, that water.
Yeah.
Lots of restaurants. These were not here. Allison Restaurant. Okay. There's a nice name right there, huh? Meatball Shop. Yeah. We're turning around, coming back toward the main square, which is roughly halfway up the main street from beginning to end. Again, pretty short main street. Wow, that would have totally fit 40 years ago. There weren't really any guitar shops that I can remember in Woodstock, even though almost everybody played guitar.
I feel here.
within a certain amount of time.
Here's another view of the town square. And the Dutch Reformed Church over there. There used to be a really famous, I mean, the station still exists, but a very famous radio station, WDST. They put it on an FM here, and it was a rock station. Pretty free-form AOR album rock. You know, probably one of the last actual free-form radio stations anywhere in the United States. And they moved, they're out on the main highway now, but before they were right in this building there. And it was a really unique radio station, you know, again, because, you know, they did it the old way where the DJs are picking what they want, playing what they want, talking about it, almost like a jazz station, except it was rock. You know, and they give you the background of all the artists and things. I mean, that's unheard of now, to actually get that. I'm making the turn past the Central Park and coming down the main street. We're going down toward the golf course. The golf course basically signals the start of town in the main street. Wow, there are so many restaurants here now. There's another one. Again, this is now a tourist destination. It has the same feel, but the way it runs is different. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just, you know, different. Give an idea what it sort of looks like if you were living here. You'd live down one of these streets, you know, almost like you're off in the country, even though you're maybe 2 blocks from the main drag, which has got all kinds of stuff. Bread bakery, nice. Hi. Huh. Not quite sure why that's here. Obviously it's the memoriam, but oh, COVID-19. I guess this is the amount of people that died during COVID here.
Sorry about that.
That lived in this area. Wow. To give you an idea of what I was talking about before, when I was a couple things. One, about, you know, the art galleries and things. Like here's a pretty big one right there. But that's also the way the houses were. I mean, that's a large home. That's a big house. But that would have been like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay, thanks. Very common. And there's another one that, in today's terms, that's a big home. Actually, that's even larger. That's really a big house. As is this thing. It's for sale. I guess that this thing, if I had to guess, I would say that this thing is, you get a lot of land with it. Yeah, this thing's probably about $1.3 million. $1.4 million right on the main drag. places, right here, and there's the parking in there. Or if you can go up to the main square and make a right where that green car is, the SUV type thing, make a turn there, and again, another entrance to the parking. This used to be a really famous bar. It would be super packed. It's either that one or this one. I can't remember which one, but I'm pretty sure it was this building. This was the bar. Probably at the time it was one half, and it had maybe, I don't know, guess a capacity of like 60 people. Mostly 18-year-olds, because that was the drinking age. But if it was 60 people capacity, there was probably 300 in there at all times. That's just kind of the way it was. Once again, we're at the town square, and this is, again, what it looks like. This is something for as long as I can remember. This building, I think it used to be at one point you'd go in and get tools and stuff like that. But now it's, it's probably tools, work things, and also art supplies and things. But H. Houston Son. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's the same name for the last 60, 70 years. And you can see by the sign, I don't know if you can read it from here, but it says established 1932, and I'm guessing the family has owned it ever since. What a great place to be able to live. You're right off the town square, you're right off the main drag, tons of restaurants and coffee shops and art things and everything you could do to your heart's content, and you'd have that huge balcony terrace up there, covered no less, overlooking the town. That would be fantastic if that was your apartment. One of these two was a bar.
Yeah, they all were.
Yeah. In the day.
Yeah, it's lovely when you see it. And
These cosmos.
Yeah,
Pretty.
I like that they've got wildflowers. It's fitting.
This was a bar too, wasn't it? This barn used to be a bar?
Yeah, one of these was the Elephant Emporium. This was the Brass Rail. My friend used to work the bar there.
Out farther, one more building.
That was the Brass Rail right there?
Yep.
The Brass Rail.
That place used to hop.
And the Emporium was the next one out there.
You know what? I take it back. The next one out was the bar.
Okay, it's coming up, Viv. You're getting ready to take a picture. Woodstock Playhouse. I think I'm gonna turn in there and go back around again. I'm just gonna go in, take a shot, and go. There you go. Woodstock Playhouse. I can just make something up. I go like, Marlon Brando started here. This is where his career started.
Did it?
And that's where he met. What's the guy that had the spaghetti sauce and the olive oil? Good-looking guy. His wife was an actress too.
Oh, Newman.
Paul Newman. Yeah. So I'll just make that up. Yeah, he met Paul Newman here. They were best buddies almost their entire life. Except Brando was afraid of driving fast cars, so he would never get in a car with Newman because Newman liked to race car drive. He'd sit and just do that shit, and people are like, wow, I didn't know that. Really?
Then when you get to the end, you say, you know all that stuff that I told you? It was all BS.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullshit story on video.
Good to go. Look at where all the tattoo parlors are. There's like one after another here.
There's about 6 or 8 of them in Kingston.
Okay, here you go, Viv. Fire away, girl. Fire away. You want me to right here? Is that what you want to shoot this thing?
You see where